Good morning once again from Ralph's house. I thought I'd take out, because it's a Sunday morning, I thought I'd take out a little bit of time and tell you a bit more about this house. It was built in the 1930s, and if you're not living in the UK, you won't be familiar with these houses, but they are very, very common. It was one of the last great major builds across the UK in the 1930s. And this front door, this stained glass, is very typical of the 1930s. It's Art Deco. But what's more remarkable about the house is that my family have actually lived in this for around 50 years. My sister bought it originally, and I think she lived in it for 20 years. And then my father bought it from her, and he lived in it for 30 years. But unfortunately in that time, although, you know, it had been decorated and painted, it has not been really modernised. And sadly what tends to happen with a lot of these houses is these get taken out and replaced with UPVC, which makes a lot of sense because, you know, it's warmer. But I will not be doing that with this. The only thing I dislike about it, I'll just show you the front door. The yellow doesn't really cut it for me, and I've decided this is all going to go gloss black to give it a little bit of sophistication, shall we say. Yeah. So, but this is otherwise the original door. But as you can see, if you look at the paint, you see how crazed that is? You know, it'd be pointless trying to paint over that. So at some point, as the weather warms up, I should be getting the paint stripper and taking all the paint off this door top to bottom, then re-prime it and then give it a nice coat of gloss black. It should look fabulous. But yeah, that's the front door. Anyway, I'm here for, what am I here for? Sunday. As I mentioned in my last video, the bathroom is actually coming out. It needs to come out. It's unworkable, it's just too old and skanky, as I described it. So they are tearing that out, but what I'm going to do while I'm here today is, let's just pop up and have a look. Interestingly, this wall is lath and plaster, which might present some challenges, but anyway, this wonderful bath is coming out on Monday. The room will be gutted and then we can come and see where we are. But because I need to get the electrics done, I mean, crikey, the tile is going to need some kind of light. What I'm going to do temporarily is just dangle a ceiling race from there. I shall run some new cables in off this landing light. Even that's not screwed up properly yet. The cable is already over there for it. I shall have to turn it off at the fuse box so that cable's not live. Then run into another ceiling rose here. And perhaps, yeah, well I may just, I've got another pull switch, so I'll take that out today as well. And at least this light will be switchable. And when they come in, at least they'll have some kind of light. I'll just stick a 100-watt bulb in there for now. It's very likely in the week that although my other half said just stick with the central light, but something more modern. She might be right, you know, rather than trying to put spotlights in here. Because if you put spotlights in a bathroom, which under building regulations, electrical regulations, bathrooms are known as Zone 1. So therefore anything electrical has to be IP65 rated. So you don't get any water ingress into fittings, that sort of stuff. That's what makes something IP65. So I've got that to do today. I've also got to cut out this wooden box, the remains of it. And I've got some spare bricks, breeze block bits and pieces. I need to close that hole down somewhat to allow for the new fan, which looks like this. It's quite a neat little fan. It's got a sort of well, the front of it's almost like a tile, so it's very unobtrusive, shall we say. But what's different about this fan, forgive me because I've just run up downstairs to get this, is it's a humidistat fan. So it will be live all the time, and if it senses the humidity in the bathroom reaches a certain pitch, it will kick in. But clearly, you know, I'm going to have to close this hole up a bit. So I'm going to have to mix up some sand and cement. That's my main job today, is to get that in and make sure that's starting to go off tomorrow. And I think the tiler may come Wednesday, I'm just guessing, Wednesday or Thursday. So I need that hole closed up. And not only the sand and cement to shrink it, but I'll need to plaster the edges with some bonding plaster just to make it a small hole, so he can, you know, tile over that, no problem, and just leave me that gap for this to go straight out, because there's actually, if you look, there's an air brick there, very convenient, so I don't actually have to drill into the wall. And as well as that, obviously I'll have to run some power to it. That power cable will go across the ceiling, and up there somewhere I've got to chase yet another back box, because the fan has to have a means of turning it off under electrical regulations, and I guess that's, if you ever needed to work on the fan, now you're going to disconnect it unless you turn it off with the fuse box. So I've bought a switch for that, a double pole switch to go in there. So I've got a new pull switch to replace that as well, and it's not far off that size, so we'll see how that kind of fits up there. So yeah, I'm gonna have to mix up some sand and cement today, which I haven't done for about a month. Been quite nice to do a bit of that, a bit of sand and cement. Like plaster though, you've got to keep your hands out of it or wear gloves, because it really dries your skin out. And I do find here, every time I'm using any kind of plaster, you know, plastering up these light switches or whatever, I immediately go and wash my hands, and I put hand cream on before I leave this place, because the chemicals in those on those things are just not good for skin. Right, so what we'll do is we'll I think the first job is we'll get that out. So I need a prizing bar and a hammer probably to get that out. We'll give it a go. That out, and it's brick all the way around, so I suppose what I need to do now is get the hoover in there and get all the dust out of it, and then I'll start shrinking this down. Might have to cut a brick or two with a chisel out the back to make that fit, but yeah, if I can get it down, just narrow it a bit both sides, and then that fan will blow straight out of there. And then anything else that's left around in the square, I can just fill it up with glass fibre insulation. There's no shortage of it in the loft. Yeah, a few bits of bridge blocks and some bits of rubble at the bottom and cement it all in. I just brought the whole size down, so I don't know, might even be able to plaster before the end of the day, that'd be handy. Right, okay, let's go and wash the bucket out. There we go, just got some bonding plaster on it. Cracky, I use so much bonding plaster in this place, and a load of PVA. And I have checked, and the extractor fan does fit in there rather neatly. So all the tiler is just allow that space there for the extractor fan to go through. But otherwise that's done now. Yep, so that's that job out of the way. Hopefully that will dry all today and tomorrow and Tuesday, because Tuesday's the day I bring the cables down, so I'll just have to chase out a bit of the plaster here. Don't know if we're keeping this cone yet, it may come down. We'll find out tomorrow when they strip it out. But yeah, I've got to run power down to that, and I can do that on Tuesday, but that gives that a good couple of days to go off. Tiler can go across that, no problem. Now, I don't know who Marksman is, but it's a bit of a pretentious name. Any builder will tell you, if you're going to use these sort of tools, you spend money on them. They tend to use stainless steel and stuff like that. These are not quality tools, I can tell you. They're not. They were cheap as chips, 3 or 4 quid each. But the point is, I only want them for short term. I only want them to do the jobs around this house. And providing when you finish with them, and you've washed them, and you dry them, they'll be fine. But if you leave them moist, they'll be rusty in no time. And that's the difference between good quality and bad quality. Sorry, marksman, you're not good quality. So, things I've had to go out and buy. It's never ending, is it? 10mm, called conduit cable. I had a job looking that up. Earthing cable, didn't come up for that. Conduit cable. Or was it CPC cable? Anyway, I need that to bond the water and the gas pipes. I mentioned this before, that's the event that anything live touches either of those. You don't blow yourself up or electrocute somebody. So that's why you have to earth out those. And you need that. And to do that, these tags get clamped onto the relevant pipes. So I think I only need a couple, but I've got 3 of those. For the consumer unit, I bought 2 20 amp MCBs because the upstairs radio was presently on 16 amp, and I just have visions of somebody plugging in a hairdryer and saying, "Dad, fuse is stripped." So I think 20 amp would be a better idea. So I'm going to swap those out. So I've got 2 of those, and again for the earth bonding, because there isn't anywhere really to terminate them on the incoming mains, so I'm going to fit a proper block there, so you know, if we ever need to run any more earth, well, it's ample, isn't it? And that, a Bosch wood bit. I don't know why, but all the ones I've got, I cut one hole and they're blunt, so I suspect they're cheap Chinese. Let's hope Bosch doesn't let me down, because I've got a lot of these to drill. What else have we got? Yeah, isolator switch for that fan in the bathroom. Got to have one of those. Chop blocks, unlikely to use them, but who knows, I might have to temporarily while I'm doing some of this lighting, so I've got lighting in rooms. I've got 17 I think actually, 17 of these. They're not bad. They're not IP65 rated, but they'll be fine in here. And I know brass has kind of fallen out of favour a bit, but because I want a kind of steampunk look in here, brass, definitely, that'll actually work. So I think that's my box of goodies. Yep, so things I've got to do. Unfortunately, I couldn't do where the cables come into the consumer unit, the fuse box if you like. They need to be fire rated entry points, and you can have plastic glands that are IP65 rated. Toolstation didn't have any, so that was a bit of a bind, because otherwise I'd have been working on the consumer unit today and doing that, so I've had to delay that again. But then again, you know, with the bathroom being ripped out tomorrow, I've got plenty of plastering to be doing upstairs. I've got plenty of cables to chase out upstairs, so not a big deal. I can get those sort of things done. So I'm not stuck for work, certainly not stuck for work. So yeah, I think that's it from Ralph's house today. Very short one, but you know, Sundays usually are. I do not like to annoy my neighbours. They're pretty good, and I have said to them, you know, I try and keep noise down. So if I'm in here working on a Sunday, apart from a little bit of hammering up to do when I first came in, that's it. I do quiet stuff on Sundays. Give them a bit of peace. Right. So thank you for watching. Don't forget, click the like, you know, the little thumbs up thing. Whether you're on a mobile phone or a PC or even a TV, you can do that. Or leave a comment. And thanks very much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.